Did you know that 80% of the US population lives east of a line that runs roughly along the 98th meridian? But why is this so? Imagine a vertical line slicing through the United States from North Dakota all the way down to Texas. This is the 98th meridian, an invisible boundary that has silently shaped the demographic and cultural landscape of the nation. Historically, this line marks a distinct change in the environment, influencing where early settlers decided to establish their lives. As we trace the footsteps of these pioneers, we find that the eastern side of this line offered more favorable conditions for 19th century agricultural practices. The soil was richer, the rainfall more abundant, and the climate generally more amenable to traditional farming techniques. These factors made the eastern territories more attractive for settlement and cultivation, setting a pattern of habitation that persists to this day. To understand this phenomenon, we need to delve into historical, economic, and environmental factors. The history of population distribution in America is as old as the country itself. To understand why 80% of Americans live east of an imaginary line, one must delve deep into the annals of history, where the early colonial settlements laid the foundation of this demographic trend. In the 17th century, waves of European settlers arrived on the eastern shores of what is now the United States. Cities like Jamestown, established in 1607, and later Plymouth in 1620, became some of the first successful English colonies. These settlements served as beachheads for further colonization and as gateways for immigration, creating a dense population base along the Atlantic coast. As the nation grew, the allure of vast, unexplored territories spurred a movement known as the westward expansion. This period, marked by the Louisiana Purchase in 1803 and the later California Gold Rush in 1849, saw settlers pushing beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Yet, despite the promise of fertile lands and new opportunities, the population density remained significantly higher in the east. This was largely due to the established cities, infrastructure, and the burgeoning communities that people were reluctant to leave behind. Then came the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century, a pivotal moment that further anchored populations to the east. The Northeast, in particular, transformed into a bustling hub of industry and innovation. Cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia expanded rapidly, fueled by manufacturing, trade, and immigration. The development of railroads and the Erie Canal facilitated commerce and kept the population tethered to the eastern seaboard, where economic activities were concentrated. Thus, the historical momentum of early settlements, coupled with the economic magnetism of the Industrial Revolution, created a strong gravitational pull keeping populations in the eastern United States. It's a pattern that, once established, proved self-sustaining. History set the stage, but what kept people in the East? Let's look at the economic factors next. Money makes the world go round, and it also dictates where people settle. The eastern United States is a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of economic activities that have historically pulled people towards it like a magnet. Let's delve into why this region became such a bustling hub of human activity. The story begins during the Industrial Revolution, a period marked by the birth and boom of industries. Cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia transformed into epicenters of manufacturing and trade. These burgeoning urban centers were strategically positioned, benefiting immensely from their proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. This access not only facilitated international trade, but also attracted a plethora of businesses which set up shop to capitalize on these burgeoning markets. As industries thrived, so did the need for robust transportation networks. The East saw the development of extensive railway systems in the 19th century, which further solidified its economic advantage. These railways connected rural areas to urban centers, making it easier to transport goods and labor across the region. The flow of resources and people powered the economic engines of eastern cities, creating a self-sustaining cycle of growth and development. Moving into the 20th and 21st centuries, the economic landscape evolved, but the eastern allure remained strong. Today, the region is not just about traditional manufacturing, but also a leader in sectors like finance, technology, and healthcare. Cities have transformed into hubs of innovation and service industries, offering a plethora of job opportunities. This economic diversification continues to attract a skilled workforce from across the country and even globally. Moreover, despite the higher cost of living in many eastern cities, the relative abundance of opportunities balances the scales for many. People often find that higher expenses like housing are offset by higher wages, and the unparalleled access to cultural, educational, and professional resources. With economic opportunities aplenty, the East holds its allure. But what about the environment? The environment plays a more crucial role in our living decisions than we might think. When looking at the distribution of population across the United States, it becomes evident that environmental factors heavily influence where people choose to settle. Let's delve into the climates of the eastern and western United States. The East generally enjoys a more temperate climate with 4 distinct seasons. Summers are warm, and winters, while cold, are typically bearable with adequate preparation. This variety not only makes the region aesthetically pleasing, but also versatile for a range of agricultural activities. In contrast, much of the West faces more extreme conditions. The Northwest is known for its damp, rainy weather, which can be less appealing for everyday living. Meanwhile, the Southwest experiences arid conditions, making it challenging without modern conveniences like air conditioning and advanced irrigation systems. Moving to natural resources, water availability stands out as a stark divider. The eastern states benefit from abundant rainfall and the presence of major water bodies like the Great Lakes and the extensive river systems such as the Mississippi. These water sources are not just vital for drinking and daily use, but also enrich the soil, making the land more fertile and ideal for agriculture. On the other hand, the western states often struggle with water scarcity, leading to frequent droughts and water use restrictions, which can deter large-scale settlement and farming. Soil fertility further tips the balance in favor of the East. The soil in regions like the Mississippi River Basin is some of the most fertile in the country, thanks to centuries of nutrient deposition from river flooding. This fertility supports vast agricultural outputs, which in turn supports larger populations. The arid soils of the West, while productive with significant intervention, generally require more resources to achieve similar yields. Thus, when we consider where to live, the environment isn't just a backdrop, it's a fundamental aspect of our decision-making process. The East, with its more hospitable climate, plentiful water, and fertile soils, naturally attracts and supports a denser population. So, the environment invites and sustains life. But how do all these factors interact today? In our modern world, these historical and environmental factors still resonate. Today, the landscape of American living is subtly shifting. Although the East still holds a significant majority of the population, recent trends hint at a gradual movement toward the South and West. This shift is propelled by several modern factors, with technology and remote work playing pivotal roles. As the digital age matures, the need for physical proximity to traditional economic hubs diminishes. Remote work, a concept once nestled in the realm of future possibilities, has become a present-day reality for millions. This newfound flexibility allows individuals to venture away from crowded metropolitan areas in search of more space, a lower cost of living, and a higher quality of life. States like Texas and Arizona have seen an uptick in their populations as more people migrate from the dense urban sprawls of the Northeast and Midwest. But it's not just about space and affordability. The technological revolution also brings with it a redistribution of economic opportunities. Tech hubs are sprouting in places once considered unlikely, drawing a diverse workforce to cities like Austin, Denver, and Raleigh. This dispersal of opportunities is beginning to reshape the demographic map of the United States. Demographically speaking, the U.S. is experiencing significant changes. The aging population in traditional powerhouses like New York and Chicago contrasts with the younger demographics flocking to the South and West. This youth-driven migration is fueled by the allure of job opportunities, educational institutions, and lifestyle amenities tailored to a more modern sensibility. Predicting future population distribution involves understanding these trends deeply. Analysts suggest that while the East may continue to house a large portion of the population, its relative share might decrease as the South and West gain more ground. Understanding these dynamics gives us insights into future trends, but let's summarize what keeps 80% of Americans in the East. So, why do 80% of Americans live east of the 98th meridian? As we've journeyed through the layers of history, economics, and environmental factors, a clear picture has emerged. Initially, the eastward tilt in population was heavily influenced by early settlement patterns. The East Coast, rich in resources and opportunities, attracted the first waves of European settlers, setting a foundation that would dictate population trends for centuries to come. As the nation grew, economic factors played a pivotal role. The Industrial Revolution turned cities like New York, Boston, and Philadelphia into booming metropolises. The availability of jobs in these urban centers created a magnetic pull. drawing people from across the nation and beyond. Environmental suitability also cannot be overlooked. The eastern half of the United States, with its more temperate climate and fertile land, proved to be more conducive for dense population settlements compared to the arid and harsh conditions often found to the west of the 98th meridian. As we've seen, the story of where we live is written by the hands of history, economics, and the environment, crafting a narrative that continues to evolve.